Do you remember when Wigan used to be in the Premier League? The Latics had a sensational run in the top flight that saw them fighting for their lives on more than one occasion, and they also managed to win the FA Cup. During those years they had some damn good players, so what would happen if they still had their top talents? Would they be a Premier League club again? Here is Wigan's best current 11 if they didn't lose their best players. In goal is Scott Carson. It was a toss-up here between Carson and Joel Robles, as the Spaniard was decent at the DW despite his struggles for Everton. But we've decided to go with Scott Carson, who has really saved his career in recent years, and he's still only 23, nope, he's 33, that would be ridiculous. Carson is number 1 at Frank Lampard's Derby County, arriving from Wigan back in 2015. Before then he spent 2 seasons in between the sticks for the Latics, who actually signed Carson from Bursaspor in Turkey, which is a pretty odd move for the stopper. No longer haunted by that game against Croatia, Carson is our number 1 for this Wigan 11. Right back is Antonio Valencia. Here is a perfect example of a talent that Wigan used to have, as Antonio Valencia is now Manchester United captain. However, the Ecuadorian is a very different player now to what he was when he was a Latic. Back then he was a flying winger signed by Steve Bruce from Nacional. Initially on loan, Valencia's deal was eventually made permanent, costing Wigan £5 million. That money would be tripled by Wigan in 2009, selling their top player to Man United for a fee rumoured to be in the region of £16 million. Valencia is now in his 10th season at Old Trafford, now a dominant right back rather than the winger he was when he arrived in England. Centre back is Andreas Grankvist. This has proven to be quite an old squad, as Andreas Grankvist is also in his 30s, a young 33-year-old currently playing for Helsingborgs. The Swede doesn't have a lot of history with Wigan, only playing 17 times for the club. He arrived on loan in January 2007, and that deal was made permanent that summer for £750,000. It was a permanent deal that didn't really work out, and less than a year after arriving he was on the move again. Back then he was a young man, but now Grankvist has matured into a strong centre half and a penalty kick specialist. Incredibly, he was linked with a move to Manchester United in recent months, but I can't see that one happening. He's alongside Harry Maguire. Our first player under 30, our first player who wasn't actually a permanent Wigan player as well. Slabhead became a national treasure over the summer with his heroics for England, but just a few years prior he was on loan at Wigan in the Championship. Maguire was signed by Hull City in July 2014, costing £2.5 million from Sheffield United. At the time the Tigers were a Premier League club, meaning the opportunities were limited for the Giant centre-half. After just 6 games, Maguire joined Wigan on loan in February 2015, staying there until the end of the season. During that time, Hull were relegated, and sadly, so were Wigan. Left back is Leighton Baines. We could have gone with another loanee in the shape of Patrick Van Aanholt, who played 3 times for Wigan in 2011, but we've got to go with Leighton Baines despite his ageing legs. Now aged 33, Baines has played for 2 clubs in his career. One is Everton and the other is Wigan Athletic. The Kirkby-born defender rose through the ranks at Wigan and made his debut in 2002. Baines played his part in Wigan's rise through the divisions, going from the 2nd Division to the Premier League, making 162 appearances in all competitions for the club. In 2007, Baines left Wigan, moving to Goodison Park for £6 million. On the right of midfield is Victor Moses. While his Chelsea career has somewhat stalled since the arrival of Maurizio Sarri, Victor Moses will be more than welcome back at the DW Stadium. The Nigerian joined the club as a teenager from Crystal Palace back in 2010, costing just £2.5 million. Moses learnt his trade at Palace, but really started to make a serious impression at Wigan, where he got his first crack at Premier League football. His final season in Lancashire would be his best, scoring 6 league goals and guiding the Latics to safety, which won him a move to Chelsea. Despite some tough times there, he's a Premier League, FA Cup and Europa League winner, but he might be on the move again in January. For some reason though, I doubt he'll be back at Wigan. In the centre of midfield is Mo Diarmé. Signed in 2009 from Rayo Vallecano, Mo Diarmé's move was in doubt due to a heart problem, but 9 years on and he's still playing his football in the Premier League. Diarmé is now at the heart of Newcastle's midfield, performing brilliantly last season as the Magpies finished 10th. While this season has been a struggle, Diarmé still possesses some quality, and if Wigan play their cards right, they could get Diarmé back next year. The midfielder's contract is set to expire at St James's Park, so will be available for absolutely nothing. Next up is James McCarthy. A Republic of Ireland international born in Glasgow, James McCarthy is currently out of action due to a horrific leg break last season. At 27 years old, McCarthy is entering the peak years of his career and will be desperate to get back to full fitness. During his time with Wigan, the midfielder was just a youngster, arriving in 2009 from Hamilton Academical. He cost over just £1 million, and what a bargain he was. McCarthy made more than 100 league appearances for Wigan, playing in many relegation battles that eventually ended in disaster. While they did slip into the Championship, Wigan did win the FA Cup in the same season, and McCarthy played the full game that day at Wembley. Also in the middle is James McArthur, another player who played the full FA Cup final in 2013, and another player who Wigan signed from Hamilton Academical. McArthur joined a year after McCarthy, and he was even cheaper, costing Wigan just £500,000. The Scottish midfielder stayed with Wigan when they were relegated to the Championship, getting the chance to feature in the Europa League, which was certainly an experience for the club. In 2014 he joined Crystal Palace, where McArthur has continued to improve under the radar. On the left wing is Mark Albrighton. Our second player who is actually only on loan at Wigan, Mark Albrighton actually only spent 4 weeks with the club. He arrived on a 28-day loan in October 2013, with Wigan then in the Championship. At the time, Albrighton was out of favour at Aston Villa and made just 4 appearances for the Latics. However, at the end of the season, Albrighton's career would change dramatically. He was released by Villa and picked up by Leicester City, where he went on to win the Premier League and appear in the Champions League. You'd like to think those 4 weeks at Wigan were really crucial to the winger's development, wouldn't you? And finally, up front it's Will Grigg. For all the decent players that Wigan have had over the past 10 years, they've never really had a great striker. And since Amiyazaki has retired and was only actually good for half a season, we've gone with current Wigan forward Will Grigg. The Northern Irishman is a meme nowadays, I think that's what the kids would call him, with the song Will Grigg's on Fire going viral all across Europe a couple of years ago. While that song did eventually get annoying, Will Grigg is a fine finisher, scoring 19 times last season the Latics achieved promotion back to the Championship.
Michael, you made a long trip down. What do you think the score's going to be today?
It's going to be 1-0, Will Grigg up the Tics, come on!
So that's Wigan Athletics' best 11 if they kept their best players. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.